simple example of Linq program yesterday, and I hope we have understood why do we use Linq, right? Basically, we have many data sources which we normally use in .NET, like we have already seen ADO data source, right? Say we have file data sources, right? When we read files, right, you normally get all the different physical file names, extensions, everything. And if you're reading XMLs, you get some other data set, right? There are different data sets or data sources which we use. So till now, as there are many data sources, there used to be different classes for those data sources, right? I mean, which means like you don't have one single entity using which you can actually browse on all the data sources. Now, for that we actually got this link, right? Where when it actually got generated, it actually mostly works on generics way, right? Most of the time it works in generics way, and normally we know that all the generic items are all the generic concepts or classes or support is there from 2.0 itself. So which means as even before Linq got introduced, right, we have generic support, and links are mostly built to support a complete generic format, right? It takes up all the generic formats as such. So today we are going to see most of the Linq concepts of transformations and how we can actually integrate this with entity data, right? Query accordingly, and how we will see how to query even this with Linq, right? Different things like grouping, joining, and self-selecting, sorting. We'll see so many stuff today, right? Okay. So yesterday we have seen a simple example on creating the simple array, integer array, and we have some values, and we have seen few things like getting details which are greater than 100 and less than 1000, right? That's what we have seen. Now this is one way how you can actually query a generic list, right, using Linq. Now let's see the other format which we have. You can use any of these, whatever we are learning now, you can use any of these patterns to query using the Linq class. Fine. Now, let me take something like output. So here we were using from item in ARR, which means each row in ARR. Now, whenever we say row, it's a single row, right? I mean, which is a single cell as such. As of now, as we are touching upon integer array, let's say it is from each item in this. And when we go bigger, I mean, we'll be checking out database stuff too right away, where we'll be working on each row, right? We are saying that in each row, the item should be greater than 0 and less than 1000, and I want all the items as such, right? Same thing you can also write in this way. Let's say you have an array. Instead of writing a where condition separately for all collection items, right, you have many generic methods. You can see there are many generic methods which are attached already, among which there is one generic method called where, right? So this where is the one which attaches, like you can actually give some predicate here. You can see here you can give a predicate. Predicate is something where you are actually mentioning some condition over here. Now what condition you want to give for these elements to fetch on. Now even before mentioning the condition, you have to have a variable, right? Because you can see I'm first defining a variable, I mean where I can actually hold each item and then do some operation. So let's say I'm going to take some n here. N is my variable. And how can I connect my actual condition to predicate? I'll be using a lambda operator here, is equal to and the angular symbol. Now this means that where n, which means each element in ARR, right? I'm going to give some condition which is n, let's say greater than 100. Now this is my condition I have, right? Now this will actually filter everything in ARR. Now it will actually give, this set will give you a new entity set which contains n as a parameter, right? Now among these all new set, I want to select all the n's, which means I can go ahead with multiple. You can see again this will give you your I enumerable. Now here I enumerable is something which is a generic type of enumerable content. I enumerable is mainly used to loop on your generic classes, right? Now as of now, as we are using int array, you can see I enumerable is taking int, right? But if you go with the class objects, it will take the class object. If you go with the if you go with specific object types, it will take object types, right? It will return your I enumerable. And wherever there is I enumerable, you can apply a link operation again on that. When you click on dot, right, it is giving you I enumerable, which means it's a separate collection item, right? And it will give you all type of other, link operations which you can do. Now let's say among them I want to select something, so you can go ahead with select off. Now again you have to give the selector. Now for each, for each method based you are using, right, there are different parameters here. Now when you say select, which means what do you want to select? So among this set which contains all n values, what do you want? Let's say I want all n values to be populated. Now this is something which will give you an output where you are getting n greater than 100. Now let's print this output too. So let me put some console dot write line, some delimiter, and now here let me print the output too. Let me check. I just wanted to compare with this, so that's why I wrote it here, but you can let it in your watch here. So let me take for each variable. Now we know that var is a type where which can hold any type of generic object or an existing object or non-generic object into its location, right? Now let me take it as output 2. Yeah, this means again that, see, this will return a new set, right? In this new set you have to define a variable again. I am defining n and I want all n. No, it doesn't have to be n. I can take it k here where I want all k. Right? Select. What to select? Each row I'll have to mention a pointer. I'm mentioning pointer over here. And I'm saying what do you want? I want all items. So when we actually go ahead with the database stuff, right, you'll understand this much better, right? So we'll actually get more lists which contains, or the class objects which contains internal variables, right? I will write this again, right away. Once we are done with this example, I'll try to create an entity model again for some database, and I'll show you this pattern again. Okay? But the main situation here is when I say where, initially you have to start with declaring a variable for each element or each row in that collection. And on that element, if you want to do some condition, you have to do. Same way, if you are selecting something, which means you have to do some element naming. Yes, I have done it as k. And what I'm looking for? I'm looking for all k's, which means all elements. As of now, this is something which gives you all elements. And we have only one element here. So that's the reason why I'm giving k. But if it is a class object, then you will actually go beyond. Right? We'll write this right away just in few minutes by creating a separate object of class. Right? We'll see that part. So here, let me print this item. Right. So here we are actually getting data which are more than 100. So let me run this and see. See here, you can see. So these are the two elements which I have where the value is greater than 100. Now this is something which is other pattern, right? How we can actually write our link statements. Now you can choose you can choose either way of writing. So we have more ways. Let me put on where output 3. Let's see whether we are getting the same output or not with different patterns here. So one more way is that now all the things which work in Linq are all the internal methods which we use for Linq are static, static members of enumerable class. So we not can write just k here. So we mean just k here. You mean just k? Okay, I mean this will not have any meaning, right? Because when you just select k, this doesn't mean anything. But when I say k and then the lambda operation, right, which means, okay, each element you are referring to k. Okay, now what do you want? I want all k's. That is the meaning.
Otherwise, can we just use n there?
You mean just n here? This is what you mean? Nikit, you mean only n or I didn't get you? Is it n?
Yes, just n.
No, even, okay, you are referring to n over here and again, okay. So in our previous example, when I said n lambda operation n, you thought I'm using this n, right? No, I'm not doing that. See, this where condition, whenever I specify n, which means inside this where operation, I'm actually taking n, which is pointer to each row or each cell in that array. When again this complete operation is done, and on top of this operation, if I'm doing some select, right? Now this is same as like this. Let me show you one more step. What I can do is output 2. I can do it as output 2 dot select of k lambda. Right. So this is like, let me just comment it. Right. The operation is like this actually. This is giving us some entity or some set, some I enumerable set. On top of this I enumerable set, I am actually applying one more Linq operation, which is selector operation, where in that selector I am actually trying to get each element, which is this. Is that fine, Nikki? Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, we'll actually you'll understand this when I create an object here. When I go with, so as of now I'm going with a single element of subtype type, right? When we actually go with the object, class object or some entity, we'll understand it in much better way. We'll go it in right way, right? Just a few minutes ago. Now you can see here, even with this, we are getting the right output. Fine. So we'll just discuss one more way, and then we'll go with the class and object creation of collections, right? So in our output 3, as these are our enumerable operations, right? We can actually go with the enumerable. Yes, this is your class which you have, and you can see you have many operations which you can do again here. All your Linq operations will be here. So let's say I want to select, or you can directly go with where condition first, right? Where now you have to give source and the predicate. Now you can see you have to give first source. What is the source we want to use? I want to use ARR, which is my main source, and the predicate. What is predicate? Predicate is nothing but I want to give some condition. Now before giving some condition, you have to give a variable for each row. Let's say I'm taking n, let's say. N is my predicate where I want to use n greater than 100. So this is my variable. On top of this, this will give you an I enumerable. You can see here when I go to where condition, you can see it gives me output or a return type of I enumerable. So on top of this I enumeration, I can actually go ahead with select again. Where I'll just say, let's say this time I'm taking L. L is my variable. I want all items for this. Right? In a single shot, you can write operation which will get you things and better without even looping out. Right? If you want to loop on your items in output 3, you can do that. Let's say I'm going to do it for output 3 with some delimiter here. Run this program and you can see the same. Right? Same way here, what I'm doing, I'm first doing where and then I'm doing select, right? Same way you can do one more stuff here. Like let me take it again, let's say I'm using where for output 4. I'm just giving you, different ways how you can actually, or most of the time you'll be using these 4 ways to actually write a link operations, right? Again, I'm going to take enumerable. Enumerable is a powerful class which we have in .NET, right? Give me a moment. So let's write the next one. Now instead of where, let me just go ahead with the direct select. Now you can see here, it says the source first, right, and the result. Now let me just give the source, or you can see here, I can give enumerable source. Go to the next one. You can see here that it says the enumerable set here, right? Now here, if I don't want any where condition on, see what I can do. I can give my source and I can give my selector. Selector again is some variable, like let's say O is pointing to each variable and I want all O's. Now this will give you everything as such. So let me print this output for which is my output for items here. Now when I run this, now you can see it will give me everything. I'm not giving any condition or anything here. Now how can I apply that? Now again, if you go here, it will give you enumerable set. Now it's very simple to understand. Each and every method in here will give you an enumeration set, and on top of that enumeration you can apply more and more link methods. Let's say this is my select. What I can do, I can apply dot where here. See, right? Let's say I'm taking C, where C should be greater than, let's say, 100. This is my enumeration. Or let's say I'll extend this with C less than 1000, right? Which will give me the data, which is this. Now you can see, now this is a complete condition you have, where I'm just taking C as a variable to point to each element, and then I'm taking multiple conditions. Now run this and see what happens. Now your data will come down to this, right? Now let's see how you can actually use this where condition directly in select. Now in this enumeration set ARR, instead of going with ARR directly, what I can do, I can just do where condition with G. You take any variable you want, G greater than 100. Right? Now this will be my main source of truth. And after this, what it will do, it will select it. It will first do where condition on this, which means it will return a set which is greater than 100, and then on top of that I am doing all select. On this, you can see too. Same way, if you want to go ahead with enumeration, yes, you can go. I mean, you can write one more type of this, where I am using enumerable dot where, right? Both are same. Use a set and then provide a predicate, or use enumeration and then provide predicate. Doesn't matter. Now let's say I'm taking Q. Q is the one which is pointing, where I want Q greater than 100. Yes, this is acceptable. This will give you a separate set of values whose data is greater than 100, and on top of that I'm selecting all. Now if you run this, you will see the same output. Right? So this is how we actually have different forms here. Now anyways, most of the times you will be using from this query pattern, or you will be using some transformation pattern. We'll see this on class object collections, then you will actually understand this in much better. Right? Now, so let me now take up creating a entity model. Now we'll connect it to database again. Now we have seen that in our previous classes, but now let's see how to actually connect it and do some operations on it. Right? We'll first see how to connect, and we'll try to get data, and then we'll try to do different operations. Right? Fine. So let me create an entity data model here. Let me select data video here. So here I've just kept the database ready. Now we have the college database, which is clean. We have created, where I have two main tables, like let's say students and the academics. Students have got some rows, and I have some academic details in my academic table. Fine. Now let's connect to this college database using this. So let me call it as college model. Click on add. Now let's generate from database. Now I want to use this, or go ahead with new connection if you want to actually make new connection. Let me click on this. I got this database, and let me have my test connection. It's perfect. Click on OK. Anyways, it's the same. Now here, let me call it as DB context, because whatever variable name I give, or sorry, not variable name, whatever key for the connection string I provide, right? It will be same name which will be used to create a context class. So I want it as a DB context. Click on next. So I want to use 6.0 and retrieving all information. I want all tables and all recipes. So it will create a class diagram for you. Okay. Now anyways, we have already seen this entity, right? So let's not worry about this. Now let me create a new class now. Let me call it as some Linq entity, and let me make a static here, which is static void name of string. Perfect. So we are ready to go now. Here, let me create section handling. Now let's create DB context. The name of DB context was college DB context. Let me say DB context here. Now, so first, what we'll do this time, let's not worry about the query. Let's get all the students. Right? Let's get details of all students. How can we get that? Remember? Now I'll take where, let me call it as student details, right? I'm just taking an example, is equal to dbtext context dot students. If I go with two students, I'll get everything to list. This will give me all the list of students I have, right? Because this is my entity DB context which I connected, right? And whenever I call the DB set, it will give me the complete data I have. Now, which means I got a complete set, but what I want to do, I want to use only few things, let's say. Now let's see how to read that. Now this where, you can see this is a list, right? List of obviously students, right? Because the students is a DB set of student table or student entity model class. Fine. Now here you can see that, let's understand specific details. Let's say I want more student data. Let's say I'm taking some other variable here, where now let's see how I'm going to apply a query, link query to this student details. So among these student details, I'm going to get specific details. So even before that, let me apply for each to understand whether we got everything or not. Now in this, I have a student details here, and let me print console.writeLine. You have item dot, now you can see everything, right? Your student name. Let's concentrate more on student name and student roll number, right? I have this. Now this will give you all the details whatever you are reading, right? Let me give some console.writeLine here, and then let's query this. Let me just take new one, which is student data, each student data. Now here let's see how to query. Now from let me call student as S in student details. Now, which means what it will do? Now we are creating a specific variable called S, which will be pointing to each student. What is each student? Now you can see students is nothing but a collection of DB set data type of student model class, which means each time each student detail in the students collection, right, will be assigned to S. And what I'm doing, let's say where, now you will understand, I'm going to use this S as variable dot. Now you can see you are getting all the variables or all the properties and methods which you have in that student. Let's say I want a student with roll number only, let's say 3, and then select your S, which means I'm again querying internally this all the dataset collection item, where I'm going through each student and I'm saying I want student whose roll number is 3. That's it, nothing else. Now let's query this. Now this part is called as a building query. Now this is something which is a creating a query. We haven't executed it. Now how can we execute? Once you start reading this data, then that is the execution, which is, let's say I'm going to take it as, let's say I'm going to take student. Sorry. You can see I have a student model class item in stu data. Right? See, it accepts. Now whenever you start executing, which means whenever you start reading data from it, then this is something which is called as a execution of query, Linq query. Fine. So here I'll be reading console write line now. Now let me print student name, which is item dot, you can see student name plus item dot roll number. Fine. Where I've done some query internally and then after that. Let me run this. Right? You can see all details, Sam, we have 6 different rows, and now you can see Kiran and 3. What is Kiran and 3? I have 3, I've selected 3, among all set I want roll number 3 and I want name and roll number. That's why it actually printed Kiran and 3 as separate set. Now this is how we query the class objects same. Now let's see the other way, how we used to do using lambda operations, right? Like using lambda and predicates. Now let me put a simple fusion over here to understand. Now let me create a where. Now you can either create a where, or normally it returns you IEnumerable, right? So you can actually go for IEnumerable. Now this time I'm going to get student object, correct? Now let me call it as out1, output 1. Now here I'm going to take collection. Now what is the collection? Now this is the mother collection I have, student details. All these are sub things we are considering. So let me consider student details dot, see, I can create a where on this. I can create a where on any type of generic collection item, right? There is no limitation for this, right? So your link is so powerful that you can actually apply on any generic item, right? So here let's say where, and here first thing what we have to do now, this is a this is where you will understand what does students contain. The student contains all student DB set. Now let me go to this. Now what does this student DB set contains? It contains multiple objects of student class, right? Now whenever, in this case, whenever I say S, which means I'm pointing to each student in this collection of students. Same way here, what I'm going to do, let's take S itself. S is my variable. I'm using lambda, which means I'm trying to point each student with S. And what do you want? I want the roll number to be 4. Right? Dot, and you can go to the next line and say dot select of, now again, what do you want? I want all the students on top of this. See, when I say roll number 4, which means I may get 1 or 2 or I don't know how many I'm getting, but what I want all the students whose whatever is output in here. So let's say for that I have to apply some other variable, or you can take same, doesn't matter. And lambda operation and say yes, which means I want everything from the student. Now when I say everything from student, it will give me all the outputs. So first let's print this and we go to the specific one later. So for each you have, now this time let me take a specific one, which is student item in collection call out. Now this time see what happens here. We have a console dot write line of, let us print everything whatever is there in whatever is there in item. Now we have item dot see roll number, right? We have item dot student name, item dot, let's say, address, item dot everything you have in students, you are getting everything, right? And your phone number, let's say, right? So I'm going to print all this. Now how I'm getting this? Because I'm returning complete student set here. When I say S, in S, what do you want? I wrote S, which means whatever details are there in each row, I'm returning everything here, right? First let's print this and then I'll come back to this statement again, so that you can understand why I'm using S lambda and again S here, right? Now here you can see, right? You can see I'm using roll number as 4, and who is the roll number 4 guy? Ram, right? Now you can see for Ram I'm getting everything here. Now let's be specific here. For a student whose roll number is 4, I want only name. Now how can I get it? Now which means as of now whatever we wrote query is like this. We did something like this. Select star from your students where, right, your roll number is equal to 4. Now this is what we did, where it will give you, it will actually give us everything. Now how can I get something called just student name? Let's say I want student name, which means I will be getting only student name. For that, this is the way. You are actually assigning S to each and every row, right? And here, what do you want? I want just student name. Just clicking that, right? Okay, yes, I get it. So here, when I say specific student, right? So instead of mentioning here, let me write it as output 2, right? You can write many outputs, right? Let's see there, so that I'll share this code so you can actually go through this again. So let me create output 2, which is I'm gonna take where, because I know that this select is going to output me, you can see parameter as student. That's why it will work. But when I go to specific, then this I enumeration will not work, because when I go to specific, it is not a student type, but it is something else. So that's why I'm going to take where as output 2 is equal to, again, student details dot where condition. Let me apply. I'll take S lambda of S dot roll number as, let me take this time as greater than some 2 dot select. I'll take some J lambda function J dot student name. See here. Now what I'm taking here, I am considering select. What do I want to, from where I want to select? I want to select from student details, and on top of this, whatever is written in, I'm actually doing select operation on this, right? And what I'll do, I'm taking each row is specifically mentioned or pointed by J, and in each row I don't want everything, I just want your student name only. Now let's see, whenever we iterate through this, right, see what happens. Where item in out2, right? So let's print this. we have console dot write line, or when I say item dot, see how many details are coming. I am getting only something called, what is that? Oh, your item itself is the one, right? Because you are actually returning only uh, one stuff here. Right? Let's run this. So greater than 2 in the sense, now you can see, right? Your item itself, as I am actually going to one specific column. Now, what is this? Student name, right? So let me just run this student, oops, run this. Now you can see, this is my complete set where I'm actually considering only student name greater than 2, which means these two rows will not be considered, and from 3 it will be printed Kiran, Ram, Ben, and Sam, right? You can see we have Kiran, Ram, Ben, and Sam. Now this is where we use, yes, now you understood why I'm doing j lambda j or s lambda j. Now if you go back here to our program, now you can understand why I was giving L, S, L, and O up to O. Right? If you want everything, whatever you have in the set, then just mention the same set. Yes, I want everything. Or if you want specific, yes, mention that, and your output will be only that specific. Right? So now is it clear why I was using this? Any questions here, guys? Nikit? So this is how, these are the main fundamentals of Linq, how we use, right? Now you can see what different advantages we have seen here. Like, we have used different things by getting the complete set. Right? Again and again, you don't have to query database, but with one set, whatever we need, we are performing all type of operations here. Right? And this where type is like one generic type which our compiler can handle any object of any generic type. Right? That is your var data which you have. Fine. So now the next thing is we have seen this I enumerable. Right now, this is something which is called as a generic interface which is enabled. Now every Linq operation will actually give you some I enumerable. Now you can see here the student name is giving a string, right? Now instead of var, you can also write something called I enumerable of string, right? So there is no wrong in it, because based on the data you are returning, you can define your I enumeration, right? Which is specific to data type, and then you can do one, right? It will give you the same output, right? You'll see the same output. Fine. So that is your I enumerable. So normally this is called as a generic type or a Linq uh, actual return type or data type which you have, right? And this enumeration can be iterated through using for each, right, enumeration, because we are going to specify the data type. Fine. So this is about the actual link and the transformation which we have and selecting other things. Now let's see different operations in here. So when I say different operations, let's see different Linq query operations. As we have operations in SQL, like where condition we have seen, like filtering more and more, and obtaining complete data set and all, right? Let's go specific and see it. Right, so let me create a new class here. We have 4 major operations, Linq operations, which you can do. So let me create a Linq operations. Right? And let me create a new data. Now the the first operation is obtaining the data source, which is getting all data sources, which we have already seen. Let's see step by step. Now college database, let me take it as DB context. Now getting complete data source is nothing but getting all details. Let's say I'm going to take the student details, right, as DB context dot students dot list. Right, this will query and get all the details. Now using our link, how can we get, right? So it's like where we have, let's say, student data, where I'm getting only some output, right? So let me make it as output one, as from simple link statement which we are writing on this. Yes, in student details, select all S. It's very simple. Which means whatever you're getting, you're actually printing the same. Everything they're printing, right? So let me take the loop I've taken here, so that I'm printing everything here, right? So let me take this for loop, so that I don't have to write it again. So here I have it. Now I'm going to write everything here, right? I have one more entity which is my create data. Let me print here that, not entity. I mean one more column I have, which is item dot create data. Now let me run this. So here it is done, and this is something which is obtaining a complete data source. You can obtain in this way. See here, right? So this way you can actually get the data, a complete data set from your collection. Now that is something which is your obtaining. The first operation which I have seen is getting data source. The second one is filtering. We have already seen this. Let's see more things here. Filtering. Let's create a division over here. Right, now let me take where output to, right? Now we'll apply some where conditions. We have already seen this. Let's continue. I'll take yes in student details where. Let's see. I can apply where conditions in different way. First way is that you can apply s dot, let's say roll number is greater than, let's say roll number is greater than 2, and let's say s dot roll number is less than, let's say 4, right? And you have select s. What does it mean? I'm selecting only one, which is the 3. Let's take it as less than or equal to, right? We are actually selecting 2, 3 and 4. So let's print this out. Now let me use out 2 here, right? Because my output are getting this output. Let's do this. Right? You can see 2, 3 and 4. We started querying it. Now here I'm using AND operation, right? So whenever you have AND operation, what you can do is you can actually write it. Also, you can actually write it as a separate where. Let me run this. You can see same output. Now it means that you can have any number of where conditions you can write side by side. Now these conditions will be taken care as AND operations where, which means from data sets also I'm applying where condition. On top of that, I'm actually applying one more where condition, which will get more details to do. Fine. So this is how I can have where condition in multiple waves, right? And in a single statement, you can also have any number of statements with and or operators or any other, right? So this is a where condition. Also, you can also have something called from where condition. I just remember one thing. In where condition, you can also call a method. So let me just show you that. So let me take a separate. So let me take some integer arrays, right? Let me call it as ARR. I'm just getting out of this, Linq operations. I'm actually giving you. We can also call a method from here. Let's see how to call a method from here. Right? So I'm going to take some values here: 2, 6, some 3, some 99, and some 43, 24. A few numbers. Now in this, let's say I want even numbers, right? Let's say I want only even numbers from this set. How can you do that? So you don't have to again go for Linq. So sorry, go for loop and all. You can write a simple Linq statements again, where let's say I'm taking output 3 as, let's say, from each element. Let me take it as t in ARR, right? Where either you can write your condition directly here. How can I write? I'll say t percentile 2 is equal to 0. If this condition is fine, then I can set all things. This means that yes, I'm actually considering all even numbers, right? So let me print them. So here, what I'm going to do here is so dot right line or right. And this. Right, you can say 2, 6, 24. 2, 6, 24 are the even numbers we have in this complete list. Now this is something where I took same condition, right? Same condition numbers, but I haven't called any method from here. Now how can I call a method? Now let's say I'm going to define a separate method over here. Let me write a separate method. Static boolean. Let's say I'm taking boolean as, let me call it as check for even number, or check for even, which accepts, let's say, integers. So I'm going to check whether it is, this is an integer or not, right? So here, let me take a bool. Let me call it as p. So initially it is false. I am returning p, which means I have to do some return type, right? Now in between, let's say, so how to check? I can check it as a percentile 2 double equal to 0. Right? Now this is a condition. If you remember, this is an operator which I am doing. Right? I just wrote this in a single statement, but normally, how can we check? We can check in this way. If a percentile 2 is equal to 0, then b is true. Right? Now this statement I just wrote in a single line. Instead of actually writing if you write this condition straightforward like this, it will validate whether this is true or not. If it is true, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false, which is like a else b else false. Right? So this these 4 different lines we actually caught in a single line. Right? So let's amend this. And now, how can I use this method here? Now, if I go to main again, now in my condition over here, where what I'll do, I'll just use my check for even and I'll pass t. So every time I have my T here, right, what I'm doing, I'm actually calling this method, I'm checking whether this T is correct or not. If it is true, when I say where so and so, which means I'm checking whether it is true or not. If you want to check even that one, you can actually do something called true, right? Both are fine. Even if you don't do is equal to true, it means by default it will check that, okay, whenever I want this, I have to check whether this is true or not, and then I'm printing on this. Okay. You can see all even numbers we have. Fine. So this is something which is about method calling from where condition, and you can see where condition is so powerful that you can actually call methods, and also applies a direct condition. You don't have to give this true. Let me remove and run this. Right? By default, booleans, right? If you define directly, it actually takes its own way. Let me run this. So here you can see it has even numbers. Right? You have even numbers here, 2, 6, 24. Let me give not here. Yeah, you can check. I mean, when I do not check for even, right? It will give me all odd numbers, right? Because I'm actually checking for different. I'm saying check for even of t, and I'm taking if it is false, then only select. My condition is to check for odd. So you can check for odd. I mean, either I can do this, or if you want to check, you can also do create a separate method, right? Let me copy this. You don't have to actually, but you can create a separate method where you can create something like check for odd, where your a percentile 2 is not equal to 0. So either you can use it here, and you can use check for odd in here. If your check for odd is true, then only print your odd numbers. Otherwise, don't. Run this program. Right, you can see 300. This is how you can check for any operation. You can do any operation in Linq, right? That's fine. Okay, so this is something which is a second one, which is a filter, right? We can go for any deeper things while filtering in wave conditions, calling a method or doing different stuff we have, right? And the next one which we have is ordering. Right?
Srinath,
Uh,
I have to create it.
yes.
No. If I create, check for odd method in another class.
Okay, let me create that.
Okay.
Not a problem. Let me create.
So yeah, so I have to create. Yeah.
Correct. So let me create it as public glue, and let me copy this method. Right? We want this here. So let me make this and make it public. Right? If you make it static, first let's look at static. Right? Check for even. Let's come back here and where is that? Here. Let's say Linq Ii dot check for even. Right? If it is a static, you can directly call it here, or if it is not static method, right? Then what you can do, you have to create an object. Two ways. Either you can actually create a object here. Let me call it as LIN obj something, right? And use this object, right? Now, as you are using this object only for certain purpose, right? You don't have to create a separate object. Rather, what you can do, I can directly say new Linq entity directly. Right? Now, what it will do, it will create an object of this, and then it will call this method, because this method is an object method of this class. Fine. Now, if you run this, so here you see your numbers. Fine. So it will support the complete group model, not a problem. Yeah, it will support the group model. Yeah. Right. So that is your filtering, right? Now let's see the ordering. So the ordering is same as the ordering which we use in queries, but let's see. So, give me a moment. Yeah, let me take output 3. Sorry, we have 3. Let's take 4. 4 here. And now let's. So from S in student details, what I want to do is I want to use order by. So normally we use select and S, right? So here what I'll do order by. So you have order by a direct keyword in Linq, right? And you can give what order you want. Let's say I want S dot roll number to be descending order. Now you can see this. So this is your order by which you have, right? Where it will actually give details order by roll number in descending. And if you don't mention anything, this is your ascending. If you don't give anything on order by, it is an ascending order. So let me just print this first without any, without giving anything. Let me just print this out to 4. Fine. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, which is order by ascending. Now let's go ahead and see the descending one. For descending, you will have to mention separately where you have a separate keyword in Linq. Let's run this. See 6543. Now this is something which is ordering your data, right? And also you can order by any thing here. Let's say I want to order by a student name, and you can do that. Let's say student name descending. Let's run this. Now if you consider your student name and it will sort. Right? You see Sam. I've created this Sam intentionally, right? Just to show you one more main function of grouping, right? So here you have I've sorted. You can see Sam, Ram, now you can see the roll number project. Right? Now here let's see the compound order by again. Now let's say I want to order by student name and also some other. Let's say I also want to order by roll number. Roll number I'm taking it as a ascending. Like if I don't give anything, it's ascending. So let's run this. Right, you can see you have Samsung. Anyways, to this it is already in ascending and you have remaining things. So let's put it as descending ones and let's see how it works. Right, now you can see there is a compound order by happened. You have Sam, Ram, Kiran and all across, but in Sam, right, with the same name you have, right, you have roll number, 2 different roll numbers you have, right, the same name. Now you can see roll number got sorted descending, right? So this is micro level you are doing. Again, if you go to one more level of sorting in some other, it will be applied. Right? So this is how you append. Sorry, you do order by on the details you have. Okay? So on top of this, yes, you can actually apply where condition if you want. Yeah, you can apply where condition anytime you want. Like let's say you want to get student name. If it is Sam, you want the details. Otherwise, you don't. You can do that. Where condition, order by, right? All these things, all these stuffs you can do anytime you want. Let's say I'm getting only Sam, like you can see 6 and 1, and you get only Sam. Right? So this is something which is your ordering, how we normally do ordering of data, and by default it's ascending order. Right? And the last one you have is grouping. No, not the last one, last but one is your grouping. Right? Because we also have something called join, very important part. Join. Now let's see how do we do grouping here. Now grouping is nothing but, now you can see, now you will understand why I have created multiple Sams here. Now you can see there are 2 different students with the name Sam, right? I can group this, which means group by So if I say student name, let's say, right, then it will be grouped, which means Sam and Sam will be grouped, and each other things will be grouped in a separate way. Why? Because you may have different rows where you may have to collect same data, and for the same data you want to get different details, right? So in that situation, we may use the group by option. So here, let's see that how to create a group by. It's a bit tricky, right? Whenever you do group by, one main thing, it will actually, when the column, whatever you mention for group by, it will take it as a key, and then it will build an internal table for internal second level of table, mapping them like a normalization table. So first, let's create an output of 5. Is equal to I want from S in student details, right? Now I want all the students group by. So group by keyword is you have a group. What to group? I want to group my sets, all sets S by S dot, let's say student P. Right? I want to group everything by student P. That's it. Now this group will actually return you a complete set. Right? And let's print this up. Now even before printing, right, now as I said, this will, while grouping, right, it will not give you a complete student, but it will give you a key. Let's print that key first. So for each var in out5, first let's see what exactly is giving us. So dot pipeline, your item dot, when you see you have a key. You have only one property during your grouping, which is a key. First let's print this key and see what exactly we'll get. So this key is nothing but your complete set of, the main keys you have. See here, you will get exclusive details here. Now let me insert one more, I have kept my query ready. Let me insert one more 7th element as, and run this. I will get one more data here. We have 7 as RAM, and let me insert one more element for RAM again. Now if I run this, where is that? Right, you can see RAM and here RAM. We have 4 different students, 3 different students with the same name. Right? Now we have total 8 students where you have Sam twice and Ram thrice, which means among these duplicates it will take only 1, which means 3 different elements will be removed and we'll have 5 students. So let's run that and see. So now we are talking only about key. Now you can see you have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sam, Arun, now you have details which are exclusive. We have a group by details here, right? And now if you want to go in and get the details, you can get it. Let's say, so this is a key, and now what you can do for each again, for a student again. Now where can I get student? You can actually get the student from this item. So let me call it as item or some variable in item. This item is a main entity you have, where whatever is written in here is a set of students, right? Where you have to get a key, and for that key, what are different things you have. Now let's print everything here. Let me take it as u and it as item so that I can use this item. Right? Let's say u dot key and u, and I will use this as item. I'm just taking a variable so that I can print everything. Right? So after each loop, let me just put some right line so that you can distinguish between different keys and their details. Let me run this. So you'll get some data which is in a which will be in a disciplined manner. You can see for Sam, I have these records. 1 Sam and all details, 6 and also all details. For Arun, I have 1. Kiran, I have 1. Ram, you can see I have 3 different details. Right? 4, 7 and 8. I got them. And then now this is called as a grouping of data. Right? Now you can actually improve your concept to grouping of data to any number of levels, right? So this grouping will work in this way, and this can be on any enumeration set. It can be on your this data, or it can be right. You can actually make it even for other collections without your class objects. Right. So this is about the grouping you have. The last one we have is joining. Now this is something which you will be using again most of the times. Joining different tables, yes, your link. A link gives us more flexibility to join connected tables or multiple tables which have got relation. Let's say here we have a roll number. You have academics table, right, where you have marks and all, and you have some students table where you have few more details. Right. So here let me add more details if you want. Let me take an insert query. So like that's the table as insert to editor. Okay, so here I'll take roll number 3, marks, some marks are 78 and names as 5. Now I'm just taking this so that I have many users, right? I'm just trying to create more academic details for all students. So let me take student number 4. Let's say he got some 68 and leaves as 3. Let's say student number 5 and he got 98 and there are, let's say, 31 leaves something. So we have pretty good students now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we have now, right? Now what we are going to do is we are going to join these two, right? And we are going to get details of, if I say roll number 3, I'm going to get everything, student name, address and his marks too. Right? So we have seen already joined, I think Linq Ii wrote this, joining two tables and getting data. Right? I think you guys are still doing that assignment on that, but try to apply, get data and try to apply your link now. Right? Now here let's see how to do joining. So let me take so this I've got a simple tricky way to do. Let me take a val out of 6 where from S in student details. So these student details. Now I have only one student details if you remember, right? Now this time I also want academic details. So I'll take academic details also from my DB context dot academics dot list. Right, so that I have both students and academic details now. Now I have to join two different entities here. Now this is from S and let me call it from A, which is academics in, let's say academic details. Now these two are tables where I have to join. Now whenever you're joining, you normally join on some key, right? Use on S dot roll number, the S dot what is happening here? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just doing a mistake. I have to use join here, right? I'm just using a mistake. Join. You have a keyword called join, right? That's the main intention to learn join here, right? When I say join, yes, I'm joining S, which is full details, and academic details A, and I'll go with S dot, we have roll number, because you can see in these two tables, right, I have the relationship with the roll number, right? Where I have roll number, which is candidate roll number over here. Oh, that's why I'm using roll number concept here. And roll number equals your A dot roll number, right? So this will join all the student details and academic details into one entity. Now on top of it, whatever data you want, you have to get it as a new entity. So for that you have to use something called new. I'm going to create a new set. What do I want? I want, let's say, name of student. Now what is the name of student? Now you can see, where will I get name? I'll get name from S, which is student. I'll say S dot student name, comma. What else I want? Let's say I want roll number. Let me say roll is equal to S dot roll number. I can get it from here. And what else you want? Let's say I want the marks. But marks I'll be getting from A, right? Because it's academic details. So I'll do A dot marks. Right? Same way, let's say I want number of leaves. I can get it only from A dot leaves. Now this is a brand new set which we created out of joining a new entity. Right? I am actually querying the database only once. See how many different operations I'm doing. Right? Only once I'm getting the data and I'm doing all the stuff whatever I want. Right? Now here, let me iterate through this and let me show you how exactly it works here. Now this is a brand new set, guys. We don't have any specific name, like this is not a student model class again. But what we have done, we have created new class. If you see here, I'm using new. What does the new mean? Which means I'm creating a new class object. I'm not giving any class name here. Rather, I'm saying new, which means it will create a different set or different class object with different variables. What are those variables? Name, role, and we haven't created marks. Let's create marks here. Is equal to, and let's create leaves here. Is equal to, right? So these are different variables I have, marks, leaves, and all. Now, if you start iterating through this output 6, right? See what we can actually print. Let me just print console.writeLine of. So you have item dot, let's say, student name. Let's see here. You're actually getting new variables here. Name is a new variable, right? And then you have item dot, you have role, right? Which we created just now. Role is a new variable, right? And then you have item dot marks. You have item dot, what else you have? Leaves, right? Now we have joined two different, you can join any number if you want, right? Join is same now, right? This is a concept, and anyways we are joining multiple things and we are actually getting the intersection data, whatever you have, and we are printing. Let's run this and see. So for specific student, whatever you have, I'm joining everything and getting data. So now you can see here you have Sam 1, 2, 3 and so on, and their marks. Sam 95.3. Just look for Sam is 1 is 95.3. Yeah, you're getting a true data, right? RM2 is 98.17, right? So these are your join. Right. So this is something how you join. Now on top of this, if you want to do something, right? Let's say on top of this, in the sense, let's say let me stop this. So here, this is a complete set I have, right? So I can take name. Sorry, we have a role here. I'm just indenting this. Everything. So we are selecting this. Now here, let's say on top of this, you want to do something called variable. See here, you can have any compound. You can go into any deeper in jQuery. Sorry guys, I'm just done with the jQuery class, that's why I'm getting jQuery. So here, you can go in depth of any level, right? I'm doing where. What I'll do, what does where mean? Whenever I say where, which means I'm whatever set, whatever collection item I'm actually getting output over here, on that I'm doing some where condition. I'll apply n lambda operation, and when I do n dot, see, I'm getting only the values which are returned by this data set. Right? Let's say I'm selecting role, I want only for 4 roll number. Now this is my new setup. Okay. And on top, what I'll do, I'll just say select of, I'll do I lambda I, which means select everything. If you do only where condition, it will not select. You have to select where. What I'm doing, this is already defined. Okay, that's fine. I'll take G and I want all the values of G, which means I want to return all the things, but I'm selecting so. Now let's run this and see what happens. Now, see, I'm getting only 4 now, right? Because 4 is nothing but your roll number 4 is a guy, roll number 4 is Ram, and I have a true data getting over. Fine. Now this is how you can actually go ahead and do right things. Now on top of this, if you want, yes, you can do that. See here what I can do here. So on top of this, if I want to, so this will actually give you one more element, right? What I'll do, I can do more select. Let me take some k lambda operation. I want k dot. Now you can see you're again getting many things. Let's say this I only want name. Yes, you can go ahead and do that. Not a problem. But it will give you only one set, which is your string. So let me just go ahead and say, let me just so here let's print console dot write line of just item and see what we get out. So you can see we're just getting that. Now in this way, if you can understand the fundamentals, right, you can actually go into any deep dive of concepts in here. Now these are the 5 very important operations which you can do on entity class. I mean any class. I mean it's not only one. We are not actually taking it as a database table, but you can see we are applying all the operations on class objects, which is a collection of objects which we have. Right? So this way you can have multi operations we have. So any questions still here? This is a main. It is a heart of Linq. You know, what do we do or not? So these are the things which you have to will have to practice more to get a good hold on Linq. Any questions on this? Now let me I'll give you something more. Yeah, you can actually perform some operations directly while selecting data. What does it mean? Now sometimes if you have seen some queries, right? So while selecting some operation, you normally do, let's say we are taking some address and all, right? Let's say we are trimming some data or getting some substring, or we are doing some sort of operation on it. You can also do that um, in using Linq also. Let me create a new class for that. Let's say we want to calculate some interest while before selecting some data from my list. Let's say I'm just taking a use case. Let me go link. Let's say link to something, and let me remove this static void here, and let me take static void name of your string variable. Right. So here we have. Okay, let's take example of interval. Let's say I'm just taking some example. Let's say this is amounts, right? Or amounts, maybe you can take it as double. Anything where I'm taking some amounts, like say 2, some 5, some 9, some 10, 5. These are the amounts. What I want to do is on selection of these details, right? I want to get data by calculating some interest directly. Let's say interest in let's say I have one more double. Let's say interest as let's say I'll take something like something 2.5 is the interest. So now, while retrieving data from amounts, I want to do some operations. So here, let's say I'm going to take more details, some 100 or so 95, 6.05, some stuff like that. Now here, let me take a var of output 1. Now I'm going to take from amounts, let's say A, in amounts. So normally we do select T, right? So this is what we select, A, because A is a variable. Now it will give you everything. Now how do I do some calculation in here so that I can send it back? So you can directly do direct operations here. Let's say I'm going to multiply with interest, which is A dot interest, right? Which will give me the interest rate, and then let's say I'm summing up with the interest. And this will give me the complete amount by including amount. So this will give me a complete set of A calculating. So I'm making some error here. Oh, sorry. I just took same variable here. Right now, in this way, you can do multiple operations while selecting for a single variable itself. You can do that. Right now, if I select it item in out 1, let me just put it on code item. Now you will get output based on, let me just say T, right? The output will be provided based on your interest calculation. Right? And this, now you can see the interest will be calculated for each. So let's take 1. We have 2, right? Let's say 2 into 2.5 it says, right? It is 5, right? And 5 plus 2 is 7. Now you have 7, which means all the items you got is first calculated for the interest and then you got it. Right? You can actually go ahead. Now in this same we can add even where conditions. Now you can actually go add with whatever you want. Now let's say you have pair. Your A should be, let's say, at least should be greater than, let's say, some 50. Now which means for all elements where you have A greater than 50, I want to do the operation. Also, let's say order by A, let's say I want to make it descending. Yeah, I want everything to be descending. Yeah, you can do that. Right, you can see you have a descending and you have only how many elements you have? You have 100 and you have 50. Right? You have 2 elements which are greater than 50, and I'm actually showing them in descending. Okay. So this is how you can perform some action directly in your while selecting your data itself. Right? This gives you support for this. So this is something to share. And also you have one more thing, that if you want to format strings here itself, you can do that. Now, formatting in the sense, let's say I'm going to take this as some format. What I mean is, let's say I want to print in this one. You have the string. What I can do here. Amount. Let's say with interest. Right? I'm opening this. So here it will actually do what it will do. It will actually do this operation, and we see. Let's see what we get. Right? With interest rating. And let me just do some spaces. Run this. Right? You can see amount of interest. You can actually go ahead with some formatting here. Right? And if you want to use a string methods, you can go ahead and use, let's say, string dot format for the same. We are actually doing this format, and actually we are just giving some argument here instead of directly doing some appending of your both will give you the same format. I'm just giving you a format where I'm actually accepting some argument here, which is a parameter here. The zeroth is nothing but a first parameter, and if you can do multiple, you can give multiple parameters. Now again, you can see I'm actually getting the same interest amount with the interest, so on so. So this is what is you can actually do any operations on selected variables you want, right? With all the link operations you have, right? Same way, you have one more thing. You can actually query based on a part of strings. Maybe this may be useful sometimes, but let me give you that. So let's take a string array. Let me call it as str something. Let's see. Let me do something. Also, I have a few things. Now in this, let's query something. Let me where output from s in str, where what I can do is I can actually go in part of string. Sorry, not in s. You can see I can check each part. Like let's say in the 0th index, I mean whatever starts, it's like percentile, h and percentile will say, right, which means whatever starts from h and starts, get it. So let's say I'm going to give it as a character h here. Select this. So this will give you, sorry, it's double equal to, right? We have to check the condition. So wherever my first character starts with h, I want all the strings. So let's print this. So let's say there are two different elements in here. Let's start with h. Right. So I have output over here, and then print it. So we dot right there. On this. Now you can see hello and hi. Now here you are getting things which we are comparing with h, which means which starts with h, right? Which starts with h, we are actually checking. Where you have things like wherever you have h, get it. In the same way, you can perform any string operation. Like let's say which ends with h. Let's say, right? You can go ahead with s dot length -1, which means whatever ends with h. Let's say this is something which is MVCH. Right, on this program, we'll see MVCH. This is something which is percentile h, which means data which ends with h. Right. Same way, whatever you have, let's say I'm taking R. I'm taking more detail here. S dot contains, let's say, sorry. S dot contains of, let's say I'm gonna take it as B. I'm just taking one cap, right? Which means I am considering the data which ends with H and let's say contains. Let's not take. It will give only one, right? So let's take it as some ET, right? .net, and make it a character array, right? What's up? We'll take it. Yeah. So where my string contains ET, which means it is something like percentile ET or ET percentile ET. You can get anything you want. Let's say, right? Let's run this. You can see you have .NET and NBC. In this way, you can apply string operations also, which starts with which ends with which, right? All those stuff in here. So this is something where you can actually apply your string operations differently, which we normally see in the case of our queries, right? You normally see which string starts from now. In this way, you can actually improvise your queries much better. So this is about most of the concepts which we have in Linq and how we normally do. We'll see a few more things in our evening's class, in our today's class, whenever we take it, right? And we will wind up here.